Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Academy Futurae. Say hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Today is hopefully going to be a lot more combat-based. It should. I mean, that's what encounter tables are for.
Hey.
But, uh, anyway, here's our recap for last session. Last session was pretty much entirely roleplay, and it was entirely dedicated to showing off the party's new hub for this mission, which is Hyatt's Villa. He introduced you to, pretty much took you a tour around the whole place. Um, Showed off all of the faculties and facilities of the villa and whatnot, including a pool, a weight room, uh, an actual sort of like living room slash lounge slash study sort of area, and then what Hyatt would definitely consider to be the main attraction in his eyes anyway, is the giant dining hall, which you guys got to enjoy quite a bit of stuff while pretty much socializing with Hyatt immensely. It was pretty much like socialite hour. Certain highlights include you all being introduced to two particular members of Hyatt's employment. One woman by the name of Nibla, and a somewhat dapper, blonde-haired furbolg styled to look like a yak named Farik. And of course, in the middle of this whole thing, a certain shenanigan happened where Crudez kind of got an impromptu lesson on what sex is,
The
or
birds
rather,
and the
what gay
bees.
sex is.
I finally want to just be the weird guy anymore. Now I can be the horny guy that nobody respects.
You say that like that's not as bad, dude.
Let's let him have it.
Soft,
Okay.
soft
Okay.
snow leopard tear goes down his fur.
Oh, buddy.
But eventually, dinner ended, and you guys were led to your bedrooms for the night, or at least given your keys. But Nimbus and Hyatt went to Hyatt's room to talk about something, and what transpired, I don't know. Only Nimbus and Hyatt knows, and I'll leave it up to him whether or not he wants to talk about it or not. But eventually, morning came and business was officially started when you went to Hyatt's actual adventuring guild office, and he basically told you what was up. He basically told you of his past, on how his father used to be the leader of a ruthless warband that at one point drove out a water genasi tribe in a large mine, large cavern that they basically repurposed as a mine and basically drove them out of their homes. And that was kind of the thing that woke him up realize, holy shit, my father's a monster. And so he told you the story about how he awoken to his paladin powers and in the heat of the moment challenged his dad to basically a duel for control of the warband. He got his ass kicked, but then a few years later, after exiling himself to Cicello, learning about his powers, and recruiting recruiting people to basically lead a second charge, he managed to do it the second time around. And ever since, he's been in charge of the villa, which used to be the fort that the warband lived in. He swore an oath of pacifism, which is why all his old armor and weapons are sort of like displayed in the main hall as like a museum. And the first thing that he tried to do was relocate the water genasi back to their homes, but there's a problem. There's a Hydra infestation. And that's what you guys have been brought here for, to finally clear out this Hydra that has been making the former mine sort of unhospitable. Before last session ended, Hyatt told you that Farik would give you the details, and that is what we're going to, that's what we're going to start out with. As you guys actually return to the dining hall for breakfast, officially. So,
Yes, here, look at him.
Hey!
also, hello there.
The prince
Okay.
has a face now.
Oh,
He does.
oh, that boy's definitely gay.
I mean, if you
Say
remember, if you remember Trailin's frickin' thing, it was kind of leaning that way.
Eh?
The Trailin's like prologue chapter.
Anyway,
Which
Go
was
back and
not
rewatch
aired.
the VOD later.
Never mind, don't worry about it.
So did you draw Pempa too?
still working on her. Him. Pen.
Him, yeah.
I mean,
I
he's
think the
here, so I
follow-up
focused
thing-
on him. This was just before.
Yeah.
This was literally right before the session, so.
Right, makes
Yeah.
sense. Alright, well, go ahead and relocate your tokens to the dining room, and you may now switch songs, Jesse.
Get my books in preparation for stuff.
Right, no worries. Okay, so once again, as you go over to the dining hall, you got quite an elaborate breakfast again. Well, not as elaborate as before, but it is a welcome sight. You see, this is more of a traditional sort of take something off of, you know, basically like a buffet, take whatever you want. But the main attraction seems to be these almost tortilla-like flatbreads that are accompanied with selections of dried fruits, jams, and of course honey. It's quite the morning snack, for sure. Yeah, you actually see Fart kind of take his sweet time getting over to the dining room table because as you came in, he was pretty much insisting that he finishes dusting off the bookshelves in the study next door before he came in. But eventually, you do see this big blonde furball make his way in and take a seat, looking as dignified as usual, and he goes, "So, he finally told you what you've been... finally let you in on what's going to be happening, yes?"
That's more or less the plan. He said that something about other people backing out. And I don't know Hydras well enough, but I do know that one thing is that their heads don't really just decrease. They always multiply.
They do, yes.
How many heads did it have the last time it was seen?
We can't say for sure, but this actually leads into what I've been wanting to discuss with you all. So, when my employer took over the warband, tried to repurpose the mine back into its inhabitable shape, well, basically, when we discovered that there's a Hydra there to begin with, I've basically spent the past few years of my life as a personal assignment to study this Hydra and examine its movements, an attempt to track it down when it arrives at its den. Essentially, I've been studying this Hydra's lifestyle, its habits, anything I can get to give the people that my employer would hire any sort of edge up. but, well, hasn't exactly helped much. See, there's an issue besides the fact that it's a Hydra. When the mine was inhibited by the Water Genasi under the rule of the Marid, there were tunnels submerged in water as much as there were normal cavern tunnels. However, we came to the conclusion that if the Hydra managed to make its home inside, the only explanation would be that the tunnels go down as far as the nearby ocean, which would mean the tunnels themselves span about 5 or 10 miles down to the coastline somewhere.
So it's a miniature labyrinth.
Well, thankfully, we do not have to worry about going down a labyrinth. Instead, I focus my time on when it enters the mines and when it leaves. See, I discovered a quirk about this Hydra. It appears in these caves for about a month at a time, and then eventually disappears for a week. So, while most of the time the caves are safe, it's nowhere near good enough to be hospital for the Water Genasi tribe. After all, we wouldn't want them to move in, and then 3 weeks later, the Hydra shows up. So, in my research, I found landmarks, and he sort of like uses quotation mark fingers for them. Certain landmarks that not only proved my theory about the tunnels going all the way to the ocean, but they would show signs of when the Hydra is inside the mine themselves. So, essentially, the first part of your mission will be to escort me to these locations so I can use my research to appraise whether the Hydra's in the mine or not. And hopefully, I can concoct an exact location inside the mine based on this information.
Sounds reasonable enough.
Lysander actually speaks up and he goes, "So, you're getting information as to whether the Hydra is there?" Varg just nods and goes, "Yes, correct." Lysander goes, "Well, then what happens if the Hydra isn't there?" And Frog just sort of shrugs his shoulders and he goes, "Well, either my employer would make you wait until the Hydra came back, or what I would think would happen is he'd probably pay you the reward anyway, since you came all the way out here, and he doesn't want to see young men and women like yourselves get hurt."
Either way, it sounds like a win-win for us. Certainly not the worst place to be waiting for a monster. Just gestures to the entire hotel.
I figured that I had to ensure my employer that, of course, your job listing would be, well, taken up almost immediately. You offered them free lodging in this place of all places. Why wouldn't people want to come? But, well, it didn't stop him from feeling a bit guilty about it. He had done everything in his power to try and solve this problem without the help of the Academy, precisely for this reason.
I mean, it is kind of our job to help in situations like this. Most of us are being trained how to fight, so killing off monsters is well, kind of a specialty.
Well, I, for one, have no issue with it, but you know my employer's bleeding heart just from one night with him already. No, with that said, is there anything else you all need to do before we head out?
I'd actually like to learn a bit more about Hydras in general. I know that they have the whole splitting off head things, but are they poisonous? Do they have certain magical properties that I'm not aware of?
Um, so you're asking him, right?
Yes, and if not him, then maybe look it up in a book or something.
Um, well, I'm gonna go ahead and roll something for Farik then. I believe this would probably be general intelligence. Right. Well, obviously, Kasharidians don't exactly have a intimate knowledge of a Hydra because Hydras are not exactly native here for obvious reasons. However, from what I've been able to research for myself, I haven't really seen evidence that they're poisonous, so to speak.
Huh.
Everything else everything else I've sort of know about Hydras are just stuff that I've read, namely the fact that it can grow back heads.
Hmm. Is there a certain like breaking point? Like if you hit it hard enough, it'll one head'll die on its own, or if we aim for its
Oh,
body or something like that, it's not going to like break off into even more heads, is it?
hmm. Well, logically speaking, if you were to hit anything hard enough, it will stay dead. But I would say for sure, yes, that if you were to hit any of these heads hard enough, then absolutely you would kill them. However, I have no knowledge of, well, how fast it would regrow. All of my research has pretty much been hands on. I. I may carry myself like one, but I'm not exactly a scholar myself. I am a housekeeper and a servant, first and foremost. My loyalty is to my employer and to his father before him, back when he was alive.
Hmm. Well, I guess we're going to be getting some hands-on experience ourselves.
Well, not right away, at least. We have to make sure that this Hydra is even here in the first place. And going to these different landmarks would probably take a day, all three of them anyway. Probably a day and a half of travel, so very likely we'll have to settle down and make camp at least once.
Yeah, well, we got two druids with us, so we should be fine in that regard.
I must admit, I've never actually seen anybody from other countries before, especially these two druids, as you say. And he looks over to pretty much both of the greenskins in this party.
That's racist.
Lol. Which is rather an impressive feat considering that Crudas probably hit up the pool early, but nah, just for brevity's sake, he's probably back by now. Just in time to get looked at.
Well
I don't
then,
know.
I trust that you will keep me safe as much as I will do my best to try and keep you all safe. I'm sure my employer is worried sick just having you step outside the villa, but that's just him, so I wouldn't worry too much. You're not in the hard part yet.
Well, unless anyone wants to lounge around in the pool a little bit longer, I know I've got all my gear set.
Don't tempt me when we have work to do.
I mean, I'm always good to go again, but yeah, we got work to do. I got my fill. If I stay in there any longer, I'm gonna turn into Prundes.
Oh, Hamid. I wanted to ask you something.
Hamid?
It's not here.
No, wait, not Hamid. Hayat. Ugh.
Is Hayat even here right now?
He is currently in his office, but you can go back and talk to him if you need to.
I would like to knock on the door.
Ah, yes, come in!
I'm sure this is not. Excuse me, this is Nimbus. I. Would you happen to have any clothes for someone of my stature that is more befitting the weather? It's a little bit harsher on me with the thickness of my fur. My ancestors were built for colder climates.
Yes, I see. Well, I can't exactly have something made for you right away, but, He sort of, like, scratches his beard and thought, I could... I might have an alternative, but I would need your consent to this.
Go on.
He sort of laughs at just the way you say it, and then he goes, well, I currently have spare uniforms for... obviously, we are both a hotel and an adventuring guild at the same time, which means that I currently have staff taking care of your rooms as you're going out. I could maybe spare you one of their uniforms, something that might fit your side. As much as we try to make it cool in here, this is still Kashurin.
You know, was going to be upset, but I think that is actually a very good idea. I think I might take you up on that. What does... Never mind.
I'm gonna look like a bellboy.
What?
And if you cross
the
me wrong,
bell
I'll
boy.
ring your bell.
It's another one of those things. Wait, yeah.
That was,
no,
that
it
was supposed to be... That was supposed to be a threat, actually.
Dude, why would you do that?
Oh,
Anyway.
I know why. Never mind.
So...
He just... No, go ahead. I was just making an offhanded joke. Go ahead.
I'll say, for brevity's sake, it's not drawn the map, but he will take you to sort of like a storage area on the first floor of what would it be the actual sort of like rooms lobby, like on the first floor, and you see, a plethora of people sort of like putting old work clothes and what is essentially almost a Rube Goldberg sort of looking washer and dryer system to keep everyone's work clothes clean. And he basically goes through and helps you find he essentially helps you find one of the workers' outfits that could, relatively speaking, fit your size.
Might be big.
And eventually he does find something. It's a bit loose, but considering it's open vest like him, it seems much more fitting for sitting out in the sun. You notice that it looks a bit more festive than what you'd expect. But you figure, hey, it's Villa, and he is a host and an entertainer first and foremost, so this kind of comes with the territory.
It is amenable. I would like to think I look rather good in this.
I would think so too, but even still, I apologize that I can't get you anything, well, less festive, so to speak. Something more, I guess, serious.
I think nothing of it. This will work perfectly fine. And I was planning to buy myself another outfit for this weather anyway.
You really like it that much, do you? I'll keep that in mind.
Oh.
I will go ahead and have. I will go ahead and have tailors from my establishment whip up something for you that's, well, unique and not just a uniform. If you wish, of course.
That is good to know. I will remember that.
Yes, I figure if you're going to leave here, might as well leave with something. And it would be something different than the souvenirs that we sell on the way out.
I'm bringing a Hydra head home.
Are Nimbus, not Nimbus, are Crudez and Tralin there while he's trying to get a new outfit?
I don't know, Crudez, Traylon, do you want to watch?
I mean, do we want to watch Nimbus get dressed?
I mean, Crudez has no qualms with it, but I don't think he'd go out of his way to, like, purposely follow behind him, just like, oh, he's gonna get dressed. Cool.
Okay. Either way, I want to make a persuasion check, I think this is. I'm going to have Nimbus cup his face with his hand and then drag his finger along the bottom of his chin to the tip and get real close to his face and go, "But I am already leaving with something to remember. Your heart."
I guess that charisma.
I guess, yeah, general charisma check.
How sexy are you?
And before natural one.
Gonna say in before roll.
I guess that all depends. I guess it all depends on how memorable last night was.
Don't ask me how lucky I feel, punk, because I don't feel lucky. 15.
Not bad.
All right,
not bad.
15. So, I guess this would be, I don't know, a contested check, technically speaking. Not sure how I'd roll this, but I'm just doing this off the seat of my pants, so might as well. Okay. So, charisma.
I mean, when in doubt, we can always ask how Gray would roll it.
Yeah. It's a matter of it's settling on who's. It's a matter of who's settling and who's chasing.
So anyway, it's a good thing, well, paladins are paladins. So, Hayat just sort of, like, smirks and kinda does the same for you, except he actually gives you a little bit of pecks on the lips and he goes, "Huh. I've already had my heart taken once before. I can share, but I prefer to share mine with everyone. Though I will admit you are a bit special in your own right."
A man after my own. And he will give him a peck on the forehead because he's taller, and then he'll take the outfit and go get changed.
Alright, so, eventually, Crudez, and Traylon, you alongside, like, Lysander and Legrimber sort of just waiting around. It's like, what the fuck is taking Nimbus so long? And eventually, Nimbus sort of, like, comes out with this weirdly festive, open-vested, you know, outfit that
Please tell me my leggings are mesh. Like see-through.
I don't know about that.
Not some. if we're going for this type of
They're basically, sorry, but they're basically like those stereotypical sort of like Middle Eastern baggy pants sort of thing.
That's fair.
it has to block out the sun, but it still has to breathe it to let you cool off, essentially.
Oh yeah, you guys actually notice that his clothes seem just like an inch too big for him, but it does definitely lets his body breathe for sure.
This is much better.
You done flirting with our host?
Why, Trowlin, whatever do you mean? My intentions are always pure and noble.
I see the lipstick on your lips.
How do you know that isn't mine?
Because you use white lipstick, not red.
Don't use lipstick. Fuck! You win this round, Trowlin McQuall.
I win every time.
Dude, I get he's cool and everything, but come on, we gotta go.
Why do you think I got this? I'm not going to be any good on the battlefield if I pass out from exhaustion from walking around in the desert in my sailing clothes.
He kind of just makes a face to show he understands and just kind of nods along, just like, all right, I stand corrected.
Whatever, man.
Whatever, man.
Now, let's just get going before we find something else to get sidetracked with.
We. Sorry.
Don't know where you picked up this sass, Crudes, but I have a mind to slap it back out of you.
Alright.
I don't know. Maybe you guys should have taught me about sex. He shrugs.
Eventually, Farik sort of steps in and he goes, Yes, I've heard this song and dance before. You won't be the first and you won't be the last. Now, would you like to accompany me and do your job or not?
Let's get it done.
Alright, go ahead and change the music. Alright, so he explains that you are going to be accompanying him to the first landmark. He doesn't exactly say what it is, but based on how nonchalant he is, he doesn't seem to be dangerous, so to speak. Somebody roll me a D100.
I already did it.
Damn it, Jesse. This was supposed to be a surprise.
How?
I was gonna say something. Hold on.
Alright.
I made the roll at the beginning, so we went to stop.
I know, but look what I posted.
Okay, go on then.
Well, now I can't do it anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna say, somebody give me, everyone start doing perceptions.
Perception.
Healthy plus, what the fuck?
A 20.
Also, since we're doing this...
Damn, look at you trailing. Spotting shit from like...
There's nothing to get in his way this time.
Go off, I guess, Trowlin.
Nothing is holding me back now.
What, Chris?
I just said, damn, Trowlin, go off, and I rolled a 9.
So there's that, and then this here, and then for Fark himself. Okay, so 7, 23, and 24 with a soft 20 for Traylon. Okay, let me just look up something real quick.
Come on, Druids, pull your weight.
Okay, so I'm going to say... Alright, I'm going to say... During your trip so far, you've actually seen Farik and Lysander talk quite a bit. It's a lot of babbling about jargon that most of you probably wouldn't really care about, but from the little snippets that you guys are hearing every now and then, they're talking about tracking a lot. Obviously, Lysander, being a ranger, is trained in it, and Farik, well, you don't know anything about him yet, but he seems to have quite a passion for it. And then eventually you see Farik's ears sort of like... You know how, like, some cows do that rolling motion with their ears?
Yeah.
The flick.
I can't really describe it, but yeah, they, like, flick their ear. All of a sudden you see him, like, flick his ear. And he goes... Alright, everyone stand still for a second.
Does so.
Hang on just a minute longer. Just to see if they're coming. And then eventually you also see Lysander sort of like join in. As his own ears sort of like twitch. In this brief moment they actually seem to be pretty much working together on something. You're not sure what it is. But then eventually you both see them sort of like give a mutual nod to each other. And he goes, well, that didn't take long. And you sort of see him like do like a quick circle to like look around the horizon, and you eventually start to hear the sounds of cackling, actually. I was wondering when I would see this kind again. No matter, they'll die like the rest. As eventually, coming out of their hiding places, now that they've been found out, so to speak, are 6 gnolls. They are armed with the usual sort of spears and longbows, but roll perceptions as they start to sort of like get themselves ready.
And there it is. 6.
Yeah.
Also, I'll say for flavor, since Traylon rolled that soft 20, you're the one who kind of like gets the hint of the cackling at first. So anyway, go ahead and you roll perception too, Chris.
But I suck at that.
Not as much as I
Dad,
do.
You might get a better roll than we did.
That's
See?
a natural 20.
Fucking
natural-
funny.
Okay,
That
so I
fucking
just need
funny.
to I just need to bitch about how bad my rolls are every single time. I see how it is, roll 20.
Oh.
Okay, so, Nimbus, with that natural 20, something feels off. Something feels wrong. And you know exactly why. Because you've heard about this before. From an old
What happened?
friend of yours.
I know what happened. But tell me what happened.
Well, you notice in these gnolls, there's something up with their eyes. You see almost kind of like a grotesquely purplish hue with like yellow pupils, and you see almost kind of like burgeoning a little bit from a few in particular, some of their shoulders. you see what almost kind of looks like a hump on their back. You're not sure what exactly it is. You're not sure if this is like a giant cyst or something else, but you feel something unnatural to it, something almost necrotic.
Oh, this ain't familiar as fuck.
You heard stories about this back when Eloy was still around.
Yep.
About how the corruption of their mad god, Yanogu, wanted to basically corrupt all gnolls.
Hmm.
But you never outright seen it for yourself firsthand. But the description matches the stories. You feel as though as this is like the beginning stages of the madness, and then later, if they're probably not cut down right here, then the grotesque mutations.
Oh, that is not good.
They begin to get in a circular formation to essentially surround you all, but Farik is not exactly phased, as, interestingly enough, he simply extends a hand, and then out from his shirt sleeve, a hand crossbow comes out.
Yee.
Very well. Let's deal with the rabble, and then we'll continue on. I need
Actually-
everyone to... Yeah?
Can I, since I've been told about this before, can I try to make some kind of check to see if I could heal this with any of my paladin magic?
Roll... I'll say... Roll religion.
Fuck.
Soft 19.
Almost a natural 20.
Yeah. I'm gonna say with that 19, you feel as though the source of this corruption, it's not a disease. It is purely divine and unholy in nature. You feel as though that this is literally like the divine works of a mad bestial god. And you feel as though at your current power level, you would be nowhere near qualified to even lift them from this kind of curse. In fact, you're not even sure how exactly anyone could lift this, with the exceptions of, like, a full-blown miracle.
Damn it.
I mean, it makes sense. It's literally the curse of a god? Or are we just going to just assume it's devil? It's demon or devil at this point?
Well, Yanogu is basically chaotic evil, so you could say that.
It's Malice from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
In a way.
Goo.
Alright, go ahead and switch music, and everyone roll initiative. And I get to learn how to use this table again. Yay.
Oh, fuck yes, I'm already in for this.
Wow. Okay. Go off, I guess.
Okay, natural 20, don't fuck me. We were nice to all my other friends.
I would. I do have to BRB though.
That's fine. I need to figure out how to bring this turn order thing back up.
Natural 20 for Crudez, 13 for Nimbus, 18 for Traylon.
Hey, Gray, where's the initiative table thing?
It should be right above the dice on the top left.
Oh. It didn't give me a drop-down menu. I was very confused.
The world has a turn order.
I know, right? Well, it's awfully convenient that, oh, for some reason Crudez is...
I was gonna say,
Exactly.
Crudez is on here twice.
Yeah. Well, 18. I'll just do this a bit manually then. So I'll
Just right click and add
Right-click.
turn.
yeah, right click and then add is 13. All
He
right.
is smoked so much that he's like split into two people.
He invoked duplicity,
God.
and he's not
Yeah,
even that
that's-
class.
I was gonna say that's not even his thing.
I know,
Kaz's
right?
thing.
Gurma, Lysander, Farik.
Oh, also, Chugger Conroy would hate this music choice. Will
Sticker star.
it's from Sticker Star.
Chugga Conroy, if you ever watch this, I am so sorry.
God.
But it's all
we're big
Jesse's
fans.
fault.
I'm a big fan.
Alright, so, with that said, we can now begin. Crudez, it is your turn first.
And I still have not thought about what I'm going to do, but you know what? So you said there's like 6 surrounding us, right?
Yes, they basically have you surrounded.
So Crudez is going to actually turn around and aim this at the gnolls behind them.
So you're aiming for behind the gnolls with the tidal wave. Okay.
Not behind the gnolls, aiming behind us at the gnolls behind us.
Gotcha.
Alright. Let's see here. I'll say...
There we go.
Yeah, I'll say 2 hit this. So
Aw.
I'll roll for 2 of them. That's fail. This is Dex, so yeah, it's fail. And that is also a fail. So it's the full 10 damage, right?
Full 10 damage and knocked prone.
Alright. 2 of them are knocked flat on their asses.
Yeah. And yeah, Crudez is gonna try to take up a position somewhere so that his back is not like exposed to anybody, or not to any of the gnolls anyway.
Alright, so
Just because after a hit like that, he knows that they're gonna be trying to come after him next. Probably.
Alright, so that'll be the end of your turn. So then it is Farik's turn. Farik seems nonchalant about the whole thing, but he is watching them intently. That is... Let's see here. Yeah, that is a 30 in perception
God damn.
versus a deception, which would be -2. And that is a 0, actually, because 2 minus 2 equals 0. So you watch as Farik just sort of, like, nonchalantly look at them, not respecting them in the slightest. And then you actually see him sort of, like, kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And then eventually he's like, alright, you. And he goes ahead and... Actually, hold on a second. Ah, okay. I see. So that is... He goes ahead and fires a shot. Surprisingly enough, his quick draw is so fast that you're actually surprised that this gnoll just barely managed to, like, block it in time. As he misses the shot, or rather, the shield catches the shot. Traylon, it is your turn.
Well, seeing as that Noel probably feeling a little cocky, he's like, "Cool, let's see you do it again."
Yes. Quick draws with the power of bitch.
All right, 21 hits.
Yeah.
For 7 damage.
All right, that's 7.
Oh my god, is that? I literally rolled a 1.
Aww.
All right, second shot, same guy.
All right,
26.
26 also hits.
Okay, now
All
we're
right.
doing a little better. 10 damage.
Okay. Yeah. Seeing that crossbow bolt be eaten up by the shield, that knoll is sort of like taken off balance because, oh crap, that was fast. And it takes his eye away from you, who had 2 shots at the ready, and they are 2 direct hits, and he's already looking pretty battered just from those alone. All right.
No one's in melee, so I can't really do anything. So, yeah, Traylon will take a position to protect Crudez from the left.
Right.
Hey, you
All
rock,
right,
dude.
so it is Lagurma's turn. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, ho, ho.
Okay, so you actually see her sort of like she actually shudders when she looks at these gnolls and just how far gone and corrupted they are. You see her hand shake a little bit, almost in anxiety. You almost see her, like, consider something, but then you see her quickly shake her head as she essentially, like, puts whatever she was thinking about aside as she wild shapes into a wolf.
Oh,
And you see her charge straight at the one that has been pretty much injured. And she will go ahead and make a bite attack on that. 21 to hits. Where's the... Alright, 2d4 plus 2 for wolves.
Not bad.
Okay, yeah, she only needed to roll at least a 2 on one of them. So, you see her sort of, like, shake in anxiety, but then you see her sort of, like, shake her head as she, like, rushes, and then almost kind of like the really bad CGI from Twilight, she sort of, like, leaps into the air and transforms into the wolf in mid-run and just, like, pounces on this already injured gnoll, and in one single bite sort of, like, chomps at his throat. He is motionless on the first impact, and he is dead.
Yeah.
One down.
And I'm going to roll something. Okay, one sec. Alright. Even as a wolf, you see her, like, shudder a little bit, but she does seem to, like, hold firm and, like, give, like, a warning growl to the other gnoll, which kind of just go unnoticed for obvious reasons. Also, I just realized I never rolled initiative for Lysander. Whoops.
Yes, he did. He rolled the same initiative as Lagurma.
yeah.
Yeah, but I never put him on here.
Yeah.
So, let me just fix that. I haven't had combat in forever in this campaign. Or at least
fine.
me piloting it. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, in that case, I'll just have Lysander take his turn then. Lysander whips out... Traylon, you remember this. He whips out what you can only describe as a katana.
Weeping Willow.
What?
That's the name that
Hey.
Traylon gave it, although no one knows what it's actually named.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lysander still has no idea what you're talking about when you say that. But he didn't seem to complain, so he just kept doing it.
It's
You
easier
watch.
that way.
Yeah. You watch as Lysander, sort of with a bit of a deadly focus in his own right, as he designates one of these gnolls that haven't been knocked prone, thanks to Curtez, with his Slayer's Prey ability, which, in layman's terms, is basically a Hunter's Mark independent of the actual Hunter's Mark spell. It's
Cool.
actually kind of a better Hunter's Mark than Hunter's Mark, sadly. But
Oh.
Rangers.
Yeah, they're
November.
really weird.
And what's funny is this also takes his bonus action, so he can't even cast regular Hunter's Mark, but it doesn't bring up a spell slot, so that's a fine alternative. Either way, he's going to go up and do 2 attacks. That is a 22 to hit. That's a 1d. He's two-handing it, actually, so that's a 1d10. Alright, that is 6. And then the second attack. A 9 misses. So he does 6 damage to this one. But he has Slayer's Prey on him, so that's an extra 1d6 on top of that.
Nice.
That'll be 3, so 9 damage. Okay. Okay. Now we actually go to Nimbus's turn.
Boy about to make himself feel like a genius. Charging into battle,
He raises his sword, shield facing forward, and readies it with divine power. Oh shit. Why actually? Yeah, I want to do this. I'm gonna cast Thunderous Smite.
Ooh. Alright, you have your Thunderous Smite ready to go.
And I'm gonna target the biggest gnoll I can see, and I'm going to slash down like blinding lightning across his chest.
Alright, so I'll say you hit one that hasn't been injured yet. The one with the biggest, most grotesque looking hump. Probably the one that's like the most into the transformation, so to speak. Go ahead and roll the hit.
I've seen less appealing humps.
Well then,
Alright, 12 misses, but you have a second attack. I believe
Wow.
you have a second attack.
Damn.
8 hits.
There we
Go ahead and roll damage. Alright, that is 10 damage plus 2d6.
And he has to roll a strength saving throw.
Well, roll the damage first.
Should really make another attack code for this.
Yeah, it's something I can help you out later. Anyway, 17 damage total. And then the strength saving throw, which he rolled a natural 3 on, so that's a failure. So, Traylon, sometimes I imagine Traylon wishes, but, no, Nimbus. You charge forward alongside Lysander, basically taking 2 different enemies at once. You go for the big one, and the first one misses, but as soon as the second one makes contact with the chest, you hear almost this, you hear this really, sound, as he is just, whisked away off his feet, and is pushed away 10 feet, and is knocked prone. It's, in Nimbus's mind anyway, I imagine the stage transitions in Guilty Gear, but it's obviously just 10 feet, but in the heat of the moment, he thinks, "Oh yeah, this is so fucking cool."
In his head, he hears positive. Just
Positive
whatever
bonus.
they give. Positive bonus.
Lol.
All right, yeah,
That's my
that
turn.
seems to work.
That's my toin.
All right, so we go back to the top of the list, which means Crudez, you're up. Or actually, no, that's not true. It is actually the Gnolls' turn because they rolled a 3 on initiative.
Bleh.
2 will take their turns to get back up because of them being prone.
Oh.
Yes, Will?
Sorry, never mind.
Anyway, so 2 will get up because they're prone but will not attack. In order, first, the one that, or actually 3 of them will get up prone, and waste their turns essentially. The one that Lysander is engaged with will make an attack on him. That is a 19, which hits. That will be this. Alright, so. Sorry, I just had to see what the hit dice was for this. But anyway. Oof. That is max damage. What?
Oh, music
the
bot
rhythm
died.
bot.
So
He's-
much,
he's- That
so much
check
max damage.
the check bounced. But yeah, max damage, so that is 10 piercing damage.
Oof.
And then the one that was right next to the one Lagurma just pounced on is going to engage with her and try to spear her wolf form. But that is a 6 to hit, and so that will miss. Top of the order, Crudez, you're back up.
Actually, hadn't thought about this.
It's a full turn order.
I know we had the whole fucking turn order, but so I don't know why, but the lack of music is throwing me off. Hello.
It's coming back.
I know.
Right,
Oh.
Were there any that walked up close to him?
No.
Okay.
Pretty much it's you, Traylon, and Farik together in the middle, where Lagurma, Lysander, and Nimbus ran off to sort of get their 1v1s in. But you 3 are sort of like in the middle, being the ranged DPSs.
Are there any more
Hopefully
clump
keep them from pincering us.
Right.
together?
Any of them, like, grouped up? I'm going to say... While the two gnolls that you knocked prone couldn't attack, they did separate by about 15 feet to, like, get themselves ready to throw their spears, actually, but they have to, like, wind up after you knock them flat on their asses.
This is gonna sound kind of, particular, but, is there any way that I can situate myself so that I can get as many gnolls within a 15-foot cube of myself as possible without clipping anybody?
I'll say yes. I'll say the closest one that you probably would almost hit is Lysander, but it'll just barely be out of the range.
Alright, I'm gonna line myself up for that then, and try not to clip anybody. And with with the slam of his quarterstaff into the sand, Crudez will cast Thunderwave.
Hey!
Oh, come on. I'm rolling like shit on these spells.
Okay, so con saves for 3 of them. That is beating 15. Okay, so that is a fail, and a fail. All 3 fail. So 6 damage to all 3 of them, and how far are they knocked back?
They get pushed 10 feet away from me, excuse me. 2 feet.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Are they knocked prone?
No, they're just pushed 10 feet away.
Alright, so do you run up to them and then, like, slam your staff in the ground to cast this?
I mean, I'd imagine so.
Alright, so...
But with the rest... I'd say if this is the thing where I can do, like, rest of movement action thing, I'll probably just use the rest to come back.
Well, anyway... watch as... Uncharacteristically, Kritas actually runs up, and at first you think, oh no, what is he doing? He needs to get back. We must protect this boy, and then all of a sudden, you see him slam the tip of his staff down the ground, and like, this booming force knocks them backwards, almost similar to Thunderous Smite. Not as impactful as the 2 that he hits, or the 3 that he hits, actually, which includes the one that you're fighting right now. Get knocked back, but don't fall over. Except for the one you're fighting, the one with the giant hump. He actually falls.
I've seen what he's done both to the Rat King and to the guy that we met in the sewers. If anybody in this party needs protecting, it's probably me.
Oh no!
Well, Kritas gives off that vibe of, like, innocent Bab must protect, especially since of last night.
Oh, by the way, this is just a shot in the dark here, but, oh wait, I guess holding weapons would count as a secured object, not something that's unsecured, but,
Yeah.
Thunderwave does have that additional effect. Unsecured objects that are completely within the area of effect are automatically pushed 10 feet away from you by the spell's effect.
So
I
mostly
think
just
that just
sand.
means, like, if you can, like, or like furniture. If there's, like, furniture
Yes.
around you, that's what it means.
Yeah.
So the first is, you make a ripple with the sand. It's a big sand wave.
Yeah.
Cool, I made my own little sand pit. Yeah, go on.
Cool. Anyway, it is Fart's
Tell us
turn
about it.
again. He's going to bring his attention over to the one that hasn't been touched yet, which is the one that is currently engaged with Ligurma, who missed. So that is a 25 to perception versus another natural 0, because 2 minus 2 is 0. So, let's see if he actually hits this time. Oh my god, he still didn't hit.
God.
In fact, it is the exact same roll.
Oh my
Another
God.
13. So yeah, once again, Farah, quick to the draw, and it is kind of spooking the Knoll a bit, just from how fast it is, and it's like, oh crap, I just barely managed to dodge that. So, you haven't seen him, like, actually hurt anyone yet, but suffice to say, the message is kind of getting clear. Traylon, you're up next.
Okay. How close are some... What's the closest knoll?
The closest knoll would be the one that Farg just shot, actually. The one that has not been injured yet.
What about the other 2 that were behind us?
The other 2 that were behind you, they're pretty badly hurt. And... the other 2 that Kritas knocked over the tide, they're pretty banged up. The one that Lysander got hit by is moderate.
Alright then. If that's the case, Traylon is gonna go for the ones who are behind us. And he's going for a bayonet stab.
Yeah.
Alright, so you're going into melee for this.
Yep.
Alright, go for it.
19.
19 hits.
For 6 damage.
That is barely enough to kill one as you just run up and sort of like... You're going for like the trademark like kick him in the shin sort of like technique where you stab low, but you actually hold your arms up as high as possible and you actually like gut them straight in the stomach, and this one just falls straight over.
Alright, same motion. Traylon, while mid-stab, is going to turn to the other one and is going to use his bonus action to hand crossbow.
Right,
crossbow
let me have it.
expertise.
28 hits.
10 damage.
Same thing, except this time you're actually using a weapon that you're good at, and you actually bullseye him straight in the forehead, and he falls over dead.
Alright, now I'm going to aim for the one that hit Lysander with my set extra attack.
Oh! So those were two different bonus actions?
No.
Or is
So
this an action surge?
No. So this is the my crossbow expertise combo. Basically, so long as I make a melee attack with my bayonet, I can use my bonus action to use my hand crossbow to fire as a bonus action.
So you get a second ranged attack for free.
Pretty much.
That actually counts as your action. Okay.
And for my
And that's
second
before
attack,
action surge.
yeah, that's before action surge. It's kind of bullshit.
So just to clarify, the bayonet is attack number 1 for
Yes.
this regular action. Okay. Alright, let him have it.
24 with a light
24
crossbow.
hit.
This is the one attacking Lysander.
Okay, let's see how you hurt him.
6.
Yeah, sure enough, you, this one lodges itself straight in the side. It's looking pretty banged up, for sure.
You know what? Fuck it. Action surge.
Alright, action surge away. So, do you just get, like, 2 regular attacks on your action again, or just
Yep.
1?
I don't get a bonus
Okay.
action, but I get a full attack action, so 2 more attacks.
Alright, let him
As
have it.
now, Traylon is going to aim for the one Nimbus is fighting.
That one's dead.
Oh,
It is just the one Lysander's fighting, and the one Lagurm.
alright, well, Lysander, pray one more time.
Alright,
14.
14 barely misses, but you get a second hit.
In that case, I'll aim for the other one that's attacking Lagurma.
Alright, that one also misses, sadly.
No! That was gonna be so cool.
Yeah, it was... You bit off a bit more than you could chew there, sadly. It is... Lysander's move. Actually, I realized I didn't need to do an NPC token. I could just put Lysander, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lysander is going to attempt to finish the job now that you helped him out so graciously. And he is going to do his attack. 13 misses, but I believe he gets a second attack. Yep, he does get a second attack. Wow, sadly both miss.
Roll 20.
That is...
Why have you forsaken? Oh.
Why must I cry? Okay.
Wait.
Let's see this here. Okay, those are bonus actions. That won't work. Alright, that will be his turn then. Then we go to Lagurma. Lagurma is obviously going to take a bite out of the one that just attempted to spear her in the puppy side. And a... What is this here? 19 hits for sure. So that is 2d4 plus 2. Where did my other d4 go? There it is. Alright, that is 9 damage. And since it hit, it must roll a strength save. Oh, hold on a second. Huh. So the DC to not be knocked prone is DC 11. This Null rolled a 10.
Ha!
So you watch as Lagurma, as a wolf, chomps this guy straight on his leg and basically makes this Null trip. She's like going full on like attack dog on her right now. And once again, she is going to roll something in private. Okay. You hear her growling up a storm as she's sort of like doing the usual like guard dog stuff, you know, like wringing her neck back and forth while she has her like teeth lodged in this Null's leg. Strangely enough, she looks pretty meh. But it could be just the wolf doing that. Who knows?
Alright.
Nimbus, it is your turn. The closest
did we
one
just-
to... hold on.
His mic is muted.
I was basically just gonna say, since this fight's almost over, I'm not gonna do what I was planning on doing, and I'm going to attempt to just end this quickly and take the remaining ones down. Which one is closest to me?
The closest one to you is the one Lysander's fighting, and he looks pretty banged up.
Alright. I'll go in and try and finish him off and put him out of his misery.
Okay, so, go ahead and roll to hit then.
It's a 23.
23 hits.
Bam! 13.
15, yeah, 15 by itself, yeah. He is down.
Hey.
All that's left is the one, Lagurma is currently, like, taking a bite out of their leg.
Okay, and how much movement did I use getting it over to this guy?
I'm going to say, he used about 10 feet.
Okay. Would I have enough movement to get over to Lagurma's opponent?
You could, I believe if you just use feline agility, you could just get there.
Yeah, okay. So I'll use feline agility, and then I'll use the second attack for my extra attack while still part of my action to attack him.
He is knocked prone, so I believe you get +2 to hit?
Oof. I'm gonna need it. 16.
Is that how that works, Gray? Or
I mean,
does
that's
he
how-
just flat out get advantage?
I mean, in the past, you're the one that's been providing advantage.
I think this.
But
Okay.
in my game, I just do +2.
Which, real quick, I thought was kind of ironic considering, like, you normally don't like to have extra math done, yet your campaign is the one with the extra math.
Well, either way, +2 or advantage otherwise, that hits.
Okay,
I know it's just simple math, but still, I thought it was kind of funny.
so that's either a 16 or a 27.
Either way, it hits.
Okay, I'm slayish.
It's
A
like-
9.
That is 9. Yeah, he's on death's door, but
Tell
he
me
alive.
9.
Tell me 9. Why?
All right, that's my turn. Because I'm
Alright.
pretty sure you use. Yeah, I used my bonus action already.
All right, top of the order, Crudez, it is your turn.
Alright. So Crudez is gonna get to about 30 feet away from the knoll that's attacking Lagurma right now, and... Come on, roll 20. Thorn Wit. Come
11
on.
does not hit.
Damn it. Man.
This is the luckiest null ever.
Man, it's too early for this
Are you
shit,
sure?
dude.
He's getting guard dog attacked right now.
I mean, with the amount of misses that we've done, kind of feel like he's already on borrowed time.
Man, it's too early for this shit.
True, it is about midday.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. Yeah, he's just gonna, like, use the rest of his turn just to, like, get set up to try to go for it again, but he knows in, like, the next 6 seconds it's probably gonna keel over anyway. That's some D&D terms for you, chat.
Well, either way, is there anything else you want to do on this turn?
No, he's just gonna get ready to hit him again, but, you know, 6 seconds and all that.
Alright. He has been surprisingly unlucky, but he will just calmly walk over as this gnoll is, like, yelping horribly as Lookerum is basically, like, tearing teeth into his leg. He will just calmly take a look at it. Yeah, 22 beats 10 easily. And he will just simply attempt to aim at this prone target, which for some reason is at disadvantage, but he will walk up pretty much right next to it, which I think takes away the disadvantage. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, this time it hits, but just barely for some reason. Jesus Christ. Alright, so he finally hits, so I can finally roll this. So he does... That is 7 plus... Woof! Alright, let's see. Alright, it is 7 plus 3 plus 4. That makes another 7. So it's 14, 21, 25, and 30. You watch as he just, like, calmly, sort of, like, nonchalantly just looks this gnoll straight in the eye.
Judging him.
As this... Yeah, pretty much, like, judging him. As this gnoll is sort of, like, whimpering and... Not necessarily pleading, but, like... You wouldn't be able to tell anyway.
He's
He
definitely
just
going,
sort of, like...
ouchie, ouchie, ouchie.
Yeah.
Ouchie,
And he
ouchie.
just very calmly puts the crossbow up to his head and then chook.
Cold-blooded.
I mean, third time's the charm.
And afterwards, he simply dusts off his shirt sleeve and stuffs the hand crossbow right back into his shirt sleeve, and he goes, Well, I must admit that was a little bit embarrassing.
Was it all of them?
It
Yes.
happens.
Apologize that we had to have this detour. I've seen a few of these kinds of gnolls before. Not sure why they're here exactly, but I've heard stories about how these sorts of gnolls wander outside of Micaiah. Well, seemingly have no other intentions but to attack anyone they come across.
Perhaps they do not have a reason. An exposition drop.
Well, either way, they're better off dead than they would be otherwise. It's true.
It
So,
is
we will consider it a mercy.
unfortunate.
Mercy or not, I still would have killed them anyway.
Very well. Shall we continue?
Yes, apologies. And he goes ahead and escorts everyone along. Lysander is actually going to cure wounds himself, since he only took exactly 10.
I have, like, multiple ways I can heal people. You don't need to... Okay. I have a pool I can use. I could probably completely fix all of that.
Lysander sort of, like, shakes his head and goes, "No, it's okay. It's not as bad. We don't need to waste your gifts for something like this. It's okay."
My gifts are available to be used at my discretion. If I think you are worth using it and I want to use it on you, I will use it on you. Now come here.
You actually, yeah, you definitely, like, grab him by the wrist.
Just settle down.
Fine. And you heal him for the rest of the 4.
I'll pat him on the back. That's a good boy.
Alright, so... Okay, so... Lagurma, she doesn't come straight out of her wild shape right away. She's actually sort of, like, still gnawing at this leg. Until eventually... one of you... I'm gonna say Crudez, actually. Crudez sort of, like, pats her on would-be, like, you know, the lower back. And she, like, turns around to look at you with, like, blood in her fangs, growling. But then, as soon as she sees it's you, her eyes sort of soften. And you hear, like, this whimpering sound. Until eventually she regains her normal half-orc self. And she says, "My apologies. I thought you were another one of them."
This cool.
She just looks down at the ground and is her usual normal self.
Kritish just kind of shrugs. It's just like, that's fine. I get it. It's wild shape. We get into that stuff all the time. It's fine.
Aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you ever just want to go ape shit?
No, that's Crudez. That's Crudez, and he finally snaps.
So, after settling yourselves and getting what few scratches you have hatched up, which honestly all of them went to Lysander, eventually, after an hour or more of traveling, you all reach what is a simple 2-story looking watchtower manned by 2 humans, 2 females actually, as Farik sort of waves, and they both in particular actually rush down the stairs, quite eager to see him, and he goes, "Oh, Farik, you came! We were wondering when we'd see you again." And Farik just sort of, like, chuckles and casually bows as if he's still at the villa, and he goes, "My apologies, but I did not think a week would be something that would be unsatisfactory to your quota. Well, since you're here, I might as well ask, how's it going? Oh, you know, the usual. But let me cut to the chase. I need a status report." "Yes, I know," as the other sister sort of, like, chimes in. "You want to know about the Hydras, yes?" "Well, yes, but more specifically, has there been any rumbling lately?" And the 2 sisters sort of, like, blink to themselves, and they think, "Well, there haven't really been any earthquakes, if that's what you're asking. Well, maybe not exactly an earthquake, but any sort of rumbling, like something low grade. Category 1, so to speak." Not even that. That's weird. We should have been expecting something like that soon. Oh, by the way, who are these guys? And she looks over to the party. Just my associates. I'm doing my rounds to check up on the Hydras status. And they sort of like bow to you, respectfully. They introduce themselves as Samira and Netta. They are two watch women, so to speak, for the village that you pretty much hung out at right before you went to the villa, the one where you actually ran into Teldra. One of them actually sort of like snickers and he goes, "So, has he shown you that yet?" And roll a perception real quick as she says that.
Or insight would be better.
Either or. Insight, yeah.
I mean, it's the same for me, so...
Oh, whoops.
Natural 20.
He has shown me his privates, yes.
Okay, so Traylon, with that natural 20, as soon as she says, has he shown that yet, you can see Fark sort of like look to the side and be like, "Oh no."
What are
And-
you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, "Well, as brief as this was, I believe I..." "Oh, no. Not yet, Farik. You still have to pay the toll."
The toll?
You see, once again, Farik sort of like be like, right now, in front of them, it's part of our agreement. We tell you everything we know, and you pay us the toll.
Show us your dick.
I'm sorry, what was that, Trallin?
Oh, selective hearing much, huh?
Alright.
Eventually, Farik sort of sighs and he goes, "Very well. An agreement is an agreement." And you watch him sort of like bow his head in front of them, and you watch as both sisters start to sort of like give his scalp and the back of his neck sort of like scritches. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you just hear Farik suddenly go,
Is he mooing?
No, actually, he's grunting, because yaks don't moo, they grunt.
So,
And you can see the two sisters sort of like go, "Aw," as they're doing it. Farik seems embarrassed and flustered about it, but he is taking it and grunting all the meanwhile. Until eventually they let him go, and he adjusts his shirt and he goes, "Well, I thank you for the information. We should be off now." And he immediately starts to walk off.
I think you embarrassed him quite thoroughly.
So is there a certain spot that does it, or is it just scratches in general?
Oh, he really likes it when it's on the head and the back of the neck. Does it? That's his grunt button.
yeah.
That is something else. I don't think I have ever heard an animal telling a person make such a noise.
Yes, I know. Furbolgs in this area of Kashurin can do that. We all know. Or if you don't, you know now. Get a move on. And he sort of like grabs you by the hand to make you guys move.
Oh, is there any other spots that do that?
In case, for the record, no, that is not permission for you to do that as well.
Ah, boo.
It's an asking question.
Lysander just goes and says, "So, are we just going to ignore that happened?"
I think so.
I mean, I'm not.
You know what? I'm on Traylin's side this time. What
Hey.
is up with that? And he goes, "Before Hyatt took over the warband, I worked for his father, as you know. I've met these two sisters for quite a while, back when I was a teenager. Pretty much every time I would come over, they would do this. And it's a long story, but it was basically because of something that happened when I was much younger." Well, are you sure? I mean, why don't you tell us about what happened? As Lysander sort of, like, smirks. "And why should I? I don't know. We're in this together. Why not?"
Dude, isn't that kind of personal, though?
Roll... If anyone wants to nudge him, roll a persuasion.
Wow, a stat that's even worse than my perception.
Aw.
If anyone wants to nudge, you can roll
16.
persuasion. Okay, that passes.
Well, damn, I guess
Fine.
you don't need the paladin then.
If you insist. And he sort of, like, is still walking as he explains. When I first worked for Hyatt's father, I was essentially a teenager. I met them, and I had a crush at first sight. I don't anymore, in case you're wondering. But I met them, and, well, I did that when I first looked at them. And they pretty much melted from what they considered to be really cute. And so they insisted on making this a toll every time I come over.
It was love at first moo, or grunt.
Aw, dude, that's mean.
He says nothing and he continues to go.
No, no, Trallin. I think we can tell by how uncomfortable he is that we should put this aside and get a move on.
Boo.
Oh no.
You're giving me shit, that was terrible.
I'm already 60 feet ahead of you.
Then
He
why aren't you
says,
shouting?
Damn, you measure that shit?
"I take pride in being precise, okay?" So, eventually, let's see here.
I mean, everyone in this world seems to know multiples of 5 anyway, so...
Second. Let me just type something to Jesse real quick.
Okay.
Okay, let me see here. Alright. What is... okay.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just looking up stuff.
Okay.
Some prep work.
Yeah, it's prep work. Alright, so... I will... yeah, I'll go with this then. Alright. I'll stick with this then. Alright, so... you see, as you're currently traveling, you're sort of, well, continuing to wander towards what could... God knows what the second landmark is. I'm gonna say everyone do perceptions again.
Okay.
Here I go rolling again.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
16.
Boy, here I go perceiving again.
Natural 20 from Lysander, and a 32 for Ferric. Inquisitor rogues, everybody.
Rogues, everybody. You don't even need the subclass, just rogues.
Specialities, everybody.
Expertise is some bullshit, and it really sucks not having it for certain characters.
And so is sneak attack. Why can you smite on a sneak attack, but you can't smite with your fist? You need a weapon to cast with you. Blech.
I know, right? There should be, like, a roguish subclass for Monk at some point. But until then,
Shadow.
we get...
Go
Does
ahead.
Shadow even have... oh, yeah, right. Okay. I'm going to say... alright. I'm going to say that you... alright. So, you actually... with that natural 20, you actually see... you actually see, not see, but, you know, fucking hear. Aren't I a good DM? You actually hear more of that cackling, but then as soon as it comes, like, you hear it far in the distance, and Lysander points it out, so he sort of, like, asks you to, like, ready yourselves for, like, another ambush. But then as soon as, you know, it's starting to get a bit louder, you start hearing, like, several different yelps. And so, eventually it's like, you hear yelps, and then, all of a sudden, in the midst of all these increasingly quieting, like, howls and whatnot, you hear these sort of, like, horrible, like, hissing noises. And eventually, as you walk closer, you see, off to your right, sort of like a natural, like, elevated slope leading to a cavern. And you see, right near the entrance to where this cavern would be, is this large, semi-anthropomorphic snake that looks, just one, that looks like he had basically fought off 6 gnolls on his own. He actually looks somewhat injured. And he's sort of, like, collecting his breath with a scimitar in his hand. You are currently behind him, and he does not notice your presence.
So, lizard folk, then.
No, actually. He has regular snake buff. This is a Yonti abomination.
Ooh.
That's... I mean, we're all familiar with nausea, but, like, Yanti are bad news, let's be real.
Only most of the time.
Wait.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
So yeah,
Culty.
how do you... Yeah. Based on actually, roll, I guess, history or nature.
History, this is only a +7, not +10.
Right.
So
Alright, 16. Anybody else want to chip in?
it's all 14 actually.
Anyone else?
Sorry, what was it?
History or nature, whichever is higher.
History or nature?
Wait, that's for
Not
Irma.
nature for me. 19.
Okay, so Nimbus, interestingly enough, gets the most. Well, okay, I gotta roll for light. And he will do. Interestingly enough, he's actually going to do history because that's actually bigger. 10. Alright, so Nimbus. And I'm gonna say Nimbus, Traylon, and Crudes. So, you learned about this from Sekvids, actually, in class. Yontis are essentially snake-like humanoids. They, for the most part, are essentially cultists who worship, you know, these sort of like evil snake gods. But you also hear stories about how the most fanatical few sort of like basically enter a ritual to become closer to their gods and essentially transform into these more snake-like forms permanently. It actually sort of intermingles with a history lesson that you learned from Nimbus, or Nimbus, a history lesson you actually learned from Sekviz about the supposed religious origins of the process of doing Reborn in Drac, where it is essentially, you know, like a spiritual reawakening in a way. Except in the Yonti Abomination's case, it's both that and literal. Based on how he's positioned, you have a feeling that this one's a guard defending the entrance to what is essentially a Yonti encampment, and these gnolls probably were gonna try and go in and fuck shit up. He
That
does
doesn't
not
seem
see you. He has his back turned to you. How do you proceed? Do you wish to engage, or do you wish to slip by?
Well, I don't have any range options, so I'm definitely not going to pick and engage. I should probably fix that at some point.
I mean, in all honesty, our options are... I mean, is it more like they're directly in our path, or is it...
No, they are actually off to the side. Like, you're at a higher elevation. This entrance is down an elevated, like, natural slope going down. And this Yonti is in the middle of, like, panting after, fighting all of these gnolls at once. You can actually see, 6 gnoll corpses scattered around as he's catching himself. Farik is actually going to roll perception on him. Well, even with a 3, that's still a 15. And he looks and he goes, He must have had an off day too. I can tell he's quite injured. Essentially speaking, he would be about at 50%.
I mean, are the Yanti friendly around these parts?
Well, you don't necessarily see the abominations go out, and mingle with the locals. They are essentially the guards of this particular colony. I don't necessarily care much for them, but suffice to say, I haven't heard much about this particular colony. I would assume they would do the normal Yuan-Ti, whatever cultist things they do. But, suffice to say, I have a feeling they're not going to harm us if we come and not harm them.
So basically be the one, don't throw the first stone.
Well, you could, but
There'd be no benefit.
if you ask me, yes.
Might as well. I mean, he lives around here. Might as well see if he's had any tremors.
Are you suggesting we parlay with the likes of him?
I mean, why not?
Interesting. Normally, I would take this as as a blessing, but we might as well make this a group decision. And he sort of like looks to you all and basically sort of like picks your brains about it. So, what do you all think?
I mean, I already spoke my mind. I'd say we go over and talk to him. If he starts shit, then we put him down. If not, then, well, we move on.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Don't have any problems with that. What is
Okay.
my accent?
So, you all are in agreement. You are going to attempt to talk to it, yes?
Yep.
Okay,
And
so...
if I see it draw a weapon, I will draw mine and slice its head off.
Well, it already has its weapon drawn, but it's in the middle of recovering from its fight. The surprisingly well-decorated scimitar is covered in blood, and you watch as... You can't really see it from your angle, but you can kind of see it sort of like try and lick the blood off itself, in addition to like wiping it off. So, how do you get his attention? Do you like stealth walk down there, or do you know, call out to it?
I mean, Trylon will go for the most approach, let it know that we're approaching. With that, oi! You speak common!
Yes.
You actually see it sort of like, it raises its head up in the same way, you know, a could when it gets its attention, and then it turns around, and it immediately does, like, a loud sort of, like, hiss, as reflexively it sort of, like, points its sword out at you, and in a very sort of, like, thick, obviously, like, just imagine, like, a very, like, thick Arabic accent with slithers in it. But he sort of, like, points the sword at you all, and he goes, "Leave. No one gets in."
Alright, we're not interested in getting inside. We just want to ask a few questions.
Roll a persuasion. Everybody can pitch in on this.
Yeah. Ha!
Natural 20.
6.
I'm gonna say-
24.
I'm gonna say for flavor with that natural 20, Crudez, how do you calm this one down?
Oh boy. I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far. I really didn't, considering I have a +1. I don't know. Maybe he just kind of, like, considering we all just want to, like, talk and shit, we can just offer to just, like, you know, why don't we just, like,
Talk
sit
it up a
down and
little
just talk about something. Yeah, sure. Let's just get high while we're at it. I don't know. I was honestly not prepared for this.
Role playing.
I don't think
So
any
yeah,
of us were prepared.
this Yanti looks at you, Crudet, as you speak up. You know, basically saying, "Hey, take it easy, man." You sort him reflect. Once again, he sort of like reflexively like moves backward and hisses because he is somewhat banged up, and he knows full well that you would be much more imposing than these gnolls, and he's already banged up as is. You sort of reflexively see him have a second hand on his weapon, and he goes, "What do you want?"
We're trying to find some information. Has the colony ever had any tremors nearby?
He does, like, he's still looking at you all like stern faces, but he does seem to be a bit confused as to why not only you're asking that, but why you seem to be friendly, so to speak. And he says, "I don't understand. What do you mean?"
Like the earth on the ground, it starts to shake a little bit. Nothing like that
I'm gonna
recently?
I'm gonna roll something for him. Alright. You see the end of his Naga tail sort of like flicker, almost like a rattlesnake, even though he doesn't have. Still weary of you all, and he says,
That's fair.
"No."
Any other questions that might help us out? He's looking over to Forrest.
Well, I wasn't necessarily. I never really considered this colony to be a landmark, but if he says no, then suffice to say, the tunnels to the mine probably don't go around his colony. Probably for the best. I'm sure they would be quite spooked if they had to hear this thing move through these miles-long tunnels every other month. They would probably be more up and about, so to speak, if that was the case. You actually see, as you guys are talking, the Yanti sort of like clutch a part of what you guess is its chest, as it's like slowly but surely like moving backwards into the cave entrance, sort of like still raising his sword kind of in defense.
Well, if that's the case, that's not really only a question. No, really questions we want to hear. We'll let you be on your way.
Lysander actually tries to speak up and he goes, I don't think it takes a keen eye to notice that you're hurt. Do you need assistance with that? No. Leave. But
No, don't push.
you're
Trillin will tell Lysander, best not to push our luck. Best not to, overextend.
roll a last insight check for me real quick.
11.
Everybody can pitch in on this.
Okay. Wow.
Alright, 23. And for Nimbus, 12. Okay. Okay, so with that 23 Crudez, despite the fact that this giant hulking Naga person, probably taller than all of you by about 3 or 4 feet, in the case of, like, Farek, who's already, like, the tallest person there. Like, he's kind of a giant. He's, like, very close to 7 foot, if not 7 foot. Despite all that, he seems a bit afraid of you. Oh, but only because he's already injured as is. He also doesn't seem to understand why you're even willing to be cordial, much less friendly with him.
Yeah. Sense. So, just because I imagine that Crudez is probably not making any special effort to do this, would you, by any chance, be willing to roll a perception for this guy versus Crudez's passive stealth score?
What are you trying to do first off?
He's basically just trying to, like... It's basically the joke we had where, like, Crudez is just randomly stealthy out of nowhere and just, like, does things. But, yeah, he's gonna try to, like, semi-sneakily walk up to him and just try to, like, give him, like, a quick, like, first-level cure wounds just while he's, like, preoccupied.
It's perception versus your stealth, right?
Yeah.
Alright, you go ahead and roll your stealth first.
Oh, okay. 23, okay. If you want the higher score, okay.
22 barely doesn't pass.
Wow.
So, you see him, like, as he sort of, like, approaches the shadows of the, as you see him sort of, like, approach the shadows that are naturally forming because the sun is about to set, actually. You see him start to officially turn his head, and right as he does, you sort of, like, creep up behind him and put a hand to his side, and then immediately he sort of, like, jerks around with a loud hiss in the middle of, like, trying to redraw his weapon. And right as he unsheaths his weapon, he stops, as he feels his wounds starting to get closed. He still seems tense, but that high of a level 1 cure wound, yeah, you actually did max healing.
Oh, jeez.
You see him pause. He's still tense. And he still obviously, like, hisses directly in your face. Like, it's pretty loud now that you're, like, in front of him.
Don't
as
touch
he,
me!
like, looks, like, kind of brings his head straight towards you. like, eyes to eyes. These shadowy, sort of, like, yellow eyes locking with yours for a second. You can see his tongue flicker, kind of, like, studying you in a way. And then slowly, he sheaths his weapon again. And again, you just hear him say, but this time, it's much softer, much more begrudgingly thankful in a way.
Kritos just kind of shrugs and it's just like, that's fine. We didn't want to bother you anyway. You ain't bothered us, we ain't bothering you. So let's go.
You see, now that he's kind of like slithering backwards, you watch him go back into the shadows as his eyes sort of like glow a little bit in the dark. But his eyes don't really leave yours, Crudez, as he goes back. And then eventually the light goes out as he sinks back into the darkness of the cave.
He's just kind of casually waving to him as their eyes are just locked until they just fade.
I think you have a crush, Crudez.
Bye, dude. What? No. Like, listen.
That's what you get for flirting with the snakes.
Dude. How often am I gonna see a Yanti abominations that's not gonna, like, cut me to ribbons? Like, come on.
Ark actually chimes in and says, "Oh, quite rare, actually. In fact,
See?
if
See,
anything, it's quite a miracle that you didn't get yourself killed."
Yeah, see? He's got the red... Yeah. Oh. As he just kind of has this moment of, oh, you're right.
Yeah, you know, when I said don't test your luck, this was kind of what I was referring to.
That's fine. It worked out anyway. It's cool.
Well, unfortunately, because of these distractions, we are probably going to have to set up camp by the time we make it, but that was to be expected. There are plenty of dangerous creatures outside of the safety of the villa. But we're in it together, so we'll be safe. Now then, let us continue. And he sort of, once again, sort of leads you, guide. By this point, you can see the sun sort of like starting to set down the horizon. And you actually sort of like, in the distance, it's kind of hard to see at first until you get closer. You see kind of a farmhouse that's abandoned. And it looks absolutely like destroyed and like dislodged. Like you can see various pieces of wood that used to be part of the walls sort of like sticking out of the ground as if they were like tossed up to the side. And inside this barn proper, where livestock should be, is kind of like a jagged edge with an opening in the middle. And Farak chimes in and says, well, this farm was the first thing we learned about when my employer learned about the Hydra. Apparently, as soon as the Hydra was discovered, there was a report about a farm that got destroyed out of the blue. Turns out, it was built right underneath one of the tunnels. Normally, the tunnels are about 5 or 10 feet deep, but, well, I would assume the Hydra caught its scent. So it digged upwards to see what the smell was. So it discovered that there were livestock here. Chickens, bovides, the usual. And it ducked its heads out to dig in. Thankfully, the farmers were okay, but the livestock not so much. It hasn't really came back. No one has really came back to renovate the farm, for obvious reasons, but, well, every now and then I've heard of the Hydras taking peeks to see if the livestock returned. Now that it caught taste of food, it gets curious sometimes. And that's how I can get sightings of the Hydra. But unfortunately, I can't get a proper examination of the tunnel walls until daytime, so we're going to have to set up camp at this barn.
Oh, let's set up camp then.
Yeah, fine by me.
Rest assured, it is very unlikely that a Hydra will attack us. And even if it does take a peek, the rumblings in the earth will be so strong that it will wake everybody up anyway. So, you go ahead and, what was it? You go ahead and get yourselves, like, set up for the night. Essentially speaking, getting yourselves ready for, you know, basically the lookout, the usual lookout for, like, camp. So, who wants to do shifts?
Traylon, at the start of this, is going to put 2 alarm arrows near the, I guess, the hole. Because even if it's not a Hydra, if anything's coming out that hole, it's trouble, so...
Alright, so... So you're essentially just gonna put alarm arrows there, and then let everybody have a rest?
Pretty much.
Alright then.
I mean, we can still have, like, a watch, but it's like, you know...
Yeah.
True, yes.
Just
So
the alarms can make them wake up easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, how do we want to do this?
I mean, Curtis is fine with going first. For shift and junk.
I think I should probably go when it's the darkest, because I can see in the dark, even if I can't see color.
I have dark vision.
I mean, don't we all have dark vision?
I have dark vision. It's like,
Charlie didn't
it's,
have dark vision,
it's like that scene from Aladdin. He's got a sword. Idiots. We've all got swords.
okay. Does Lagurma have dark vision?
Well, she is a half-orc, so if orcs and half-orcs have dark vision, then yes.
Well, I don't know if she does. Is the thing.
She actually is going to insist that she doesn't take a watch.
That makes sense. Okay then, I'll take it when it's the moon is highest in the sky, I'll say.
Okay. So, we'll say... well, Lysander only has to, well, sleep for 4 hours because elf trance. So,
Elves.
he can actually volunteer to do one of your watches with you if you all wish, since you're doing these in like 4-hour increments.
Yeah.
Watch
mean-
with Trowlin, watch with Trowlin.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Alright, so in that case, who wants to go first?
I think Cruda said he can go first.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, just a quick thing, Crudez. Do you plan on smoking during this?
I mean, I could, as long as I just put it someplace where. Oh, actually, I have an idea.
See, I know you've thought about whether or not you could, but did you think about whether or not you should?
Should. You know what? If there's a way that I can set this up, actually, Kurt is gonna go for it, but he's going to use a second level spell slot and set himself up in such a way so that he's not clipping anybody.
Clip me. Do it. I know you want to.
No. And maybe also just like not make as much noise, but whatever. Well, okay. What I'm getting at is I want Crutus to use some kind of wind-related magic to just like blow his smoke like away from the group, so that it's not just like.
So you're doing like a natural wind to sort of like make sure the smoke doesn't like.
Yeah, it'll be downwind from them.
So
Okay.
basically, you're trying to use gust or control, warding winds or control winds.
I was gonna say warding wind, but it's like that
fine.
whole thing about it deafens you
I'll-
and other.
I'll say for remedy's sake, you can do this without like deafening yourself or anything. You can control it to be like a gentle breeze in a certain direction.
Usually just use Druidcraft.
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Druidcraft can work for
That makes
this.
it tough for wind, doesn't it?
Pretty
They
sure,
can.
yeah.
Well, either way, either way we can, either way you get what you need. The smoke not going towards the party. So anyway, so do you share this watch with anyone else? Is there anyone who would like to share this with him?
Me and Lysander got the morning shift. Nimbus has the midnight shift. Crudez has the starting shift.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just crude as it looks like.
So I guess I'm all by myself and I'm getting high.
All right.
Oh, bye.
God, this is gonna be a recipe for disaster, but I don't give a shit.
We should have brought Arlo.
Okay, so go ahead and change music.
Oh boy. Okay. Y'all had music prepared for this shit. Okay, I see how it is.
Oh no.
Crudez. You do your usual watch. It's about as boring as it possibly could be, but this wouldn't have been the first time that you smoked by yourself, and it won't be the last. But then feel a bit light. It's nice. It's pleasant. You feel a bit groggy, but in a nice, comfortable sense. So much so that you can't help but sort of let yourself lay down, maybe perhaps on one of the walls, dilapidated walls of the barn house.
I will say he's
Indeed.
probably gonna at least try to blink at least a little bit, like just to try to keep himself at least a little awake. But if there's nothing he can do about it, then that's fine. Just
Well, either way,
I want him to at least put forth a little effort.
you do. And you've obviously been high before. You know how to handle it. So you find a comfortable spot. You watch the distance that you just traveled. You can barely see the watchtower in the distance. And you've known the path that you've taken to get here, so you know full well where that Yonti colony's entrance is. You take the world into view, and then you blink, blink, blink. You blink one more time, and every time you blink, there are parts of the horizon that start to disappear. First comes the watchtower, then the canyons that you walked past to get to this barn house. Then you swear you see the sand start to disappear, almost to like a blank white void. Another blink, you see the pieces of the barn disappear. You blink one more time, everything's gone, except for you laying against nothing, so to speak.
Man,
And then,
you are tripping really bad, dude.
and then,
Yeah.
and then, one more blink, and you see a familiar face. You see, for the first time in a long time, that winged frog you assume to be your guardian spirit.
Oh.
In some cases, you've thought of it, as maybe your dead mother.
Yeah.
It just flies up in front of you, staring at you,
Oh.
gives you
goodbye.
a single croak or two. Give it a little pet. It just croaks. It's a frog, it can only croak.
Goodbye.
Yeah, speaking with animal on it, it says, "Get the fuck up, you pothead!"
You blink one more time, and the frog is suddenly backwards. Another blink, it loses its what you assume is a physical form, and you see a glowing yellow golden outline of not even a frog anymore, but what you can only assume is a humanoid figure laying down with its arms spread out on the ground. Another blink. You see another humanoid figure, a little bit round and rotund, kneeling down, cradling the head as it just lays there motionless. Roll a perception for me. $22. Crudez. You blink, but nothing changes this time. But this time you sort of blink as a double take, because you start to hear a voice. You hear weeping. Weeping from a familiar voice. You hear this voice sort of weep out, "Damn it. God damn it. Why didn't you listen to me? Why couldn't you just let me spare you?" And you just watch silently your limbs floating on what feels like cloud, as you just watch these two faceless figures, one cradling the other. You just hear it weep, continuously, grieving. And with that high of a roll, you're not sure why, but you recognize that as Hyatt's voice. You blink one more time. And suddenly, your vision comes back. And you hear a tiny little hiss to your side. You look over, and it's a small little garden. Sort of coiling itself around you. You get the impression that it's in the direction of your smoke because it's warm. And you realize this is a desert. It does get a bit cold when it's nighttime.
It sucks.
Yeah, you can tell that this snake is sort of a bit frozen solid because cold-blooded animals get really stiff. You just sit there with this strange vision that you just witnessed with a little snake to your side. It makes a noise at you again, as if to speak, but it can't because it's a snake.
Again, Speak with Animal says, "Give me your fucking heat." Yo, light me up something.
Chris tries to like concentrate on Speak with Animals for a second, but he's just kind of too out of it to really keep it there for long. It just kind of floats into his head, and it's just like, oh, maybe we don't need to do that right now. Maybe we just need to enjoy the moment. Just pet our friend.
Sure enough, you're cradling it, you know, sharing heat and whatnot.
Oh,
And this
thanks.
time, with your Speak with Animals, you can hear
Oh.
him talk. And as he hisses, you hear in the back of your mind,
What was that? You
What?
didn't really say.
oh, sorry. My master, you.
Thanks, him.
Oh.
Ah.
Oh. What's
As it just flickers its tongue and cuddles with you for warmth.
Oh.
I should have known Cortez was a Slytherin. Parcel tongues, man.
And we'll do the other 3 watches next week, because that's what we're gonna cut it off at.
Next week?
That was a lot better than I was expecting that to turn out, given the tone that the vision had and the song that Jesse picked.
That I picked.
Yes. Soft Earthbound music like this usually happens right before something fucked up is about to go down.
I mean, it kind of did.
Now I
anyway.
have different things for that.
Like, listen, if you hadn't have said that, like, it was Hayat, or potentially him, or just the idea of, like, or just the whole phrase itself, I honestly would have thought at first that, like, Curtis was seeing, like, a vision of, like, his mom and dad or something, and he was gonna just... Oh.
No, but it's probably Hyatt.
That role, you assume it to be.
Yeah.
Weird. So yeah.
So yeah, what'd you think?
It was
Combat.
something else.
And
I didn't-
Yeah.
I didn't think we were actually going to be able to get through to UNT without having to fight it. I was pleasantly surprised.
I mean, there were 2 nat 20s.
Touché.
A lot of stuff in play. Hey, maybe we have the auntie act as a backup for fighting a fucking Hydra. Or wait, would the auntie see a Hydra as like their god or something? Because I kind of feel like it's basically a mound of snakes on a dragon body or drake body.
That is a good question, and I don't fucking know.
We'll
I will
discuss it
probably look it
later.
up. I will probably look it up, but suffice to say, I have a feeling no.
So did we finish up for now?
Yes, we are done for now. We will do the other 3 watches
Oh.
next time.
Yeah, because we're actually going
Because I
on hour
specifically
3.
Yeah, because I specifically wanted to end with Curtis getting this vision.
No.
I gotta go. I need food very
Bye.
badly, and the ribs are done.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.
I swear I channeled Curtis too fucking hard because I'm all sleepy.